Hi guys. So I'm going to discuss a use case over here, which I found very relevant in recently in my work. So what happens is, let's say you have a table where you're going to enter a number of values. For this example, I've taken a monthly visitor count on my website, and every month this value is entered manually. Now, in the final report, what I want is I want to have this last month data, but I don't want to enter the value over here. I just want to enter the value in this table, and I want this data to be automatically updated as such. Now, one easy way, of course, is to use your reference function, like you can use an equals and then just put the number over here and it will take it dynamically. But the problem over here is that the next month, when I go and enter a value over here, you would see that this value does not change, right? Because this again still is referring to B4. So in this case, I have to go and change it to B5 to basically get the data. So that is an inefficient way of having any sort of automation done over there. So what I did was I found out about these three functions on Google, and these are extremely efficient to get such kind of dynamic data fetching on your Excel. And I'm going to briefly tell you about these functions, right? The first function over here is the offset function. The offset function, as you would see, says it picks up the last non-empty value. And then the second one is the lookup function, which picks up the last non-zero value. Now, what is the difference between non-empty and non-zero? It's pretty obvious. So in this case, let's say like, and just focus on these two cells for the time being. Uh, let's say I put nothing over here. So over here, my non-zero value is 4,500 and my non-empty value also is 4,500. But if I were to put a zero over here, my non-empty value would be zero. That's why this cell picks up zero. But my last non-zero value is still 4,500. So it retains the value 4,500. So why do I use these two distinct cases and why don't I use only lookup? Because it seems to be like more of a superset. It's because I've seen scenarios where your resultant cell, right, this visitor cell, could also be basically a summation or a multiplication of two other cells. Let's take another example. Let's say now instead of these values which I have manually entered, I'm going to pick up these values from these two cells over here, right? Now, if I just pick this up over here and I pull this out over here, you would see that you're going to get a lot of zeros, right? Now, there could be use case that I actually have zero, and that's why you're getting zero. Or it could be because I don't have any values over here, and that's why you're pulling zero. Now, based on these kind of distinctions, whether you actually want to count the zero or you don't want to count the zero, you might want to have both of these functions handy with you. The third option which you have over here is the VLOOKUP function. And the VLOOKUP function is pretty much the most flexible option, but it requires the users to make an additional entry, which is they have to enter a value corresponding to which I need to pick up the final result. So for example, over here, it's not picking up the last month value, but if I know what is my last month, maybe in this case, it could be March, it could be April, it will pick up the value. So if I change this to March over here, you would see that this value changes to 4,500, which is the last month's value right now. Now, quickly going through the logic of these two functions, it's pretty much, I'm going to go high level. So what offset does is, as you would see in this formula, it has got a count A part, which basically talks about how many values are there right now in this particular column. And you can see it's 12 because it does count 0 as values. But if I remove this, it's going to go down to 3. And then basically what it does is tries to find out the number of values that you get in count A. What is the corresponding value that you have over here? So since now it's 3, you can see that it's picking up 4,500. If it was something like, let's say 11, it would still pick up 4,500 over here because it's still picking up the last non-empty value. But if I go and put 0 over here, it's going to pick up like that. So what it will do is it will pick up the last non-empty cell. Now for the lookup function, what it does is it's a bit more complicated, but long story short, it creates a kind of an array, as you can see. And this array is basically created in this part of the function. And as you can see, like it is an array of true and false based on whether the values that you see in over here, B2 to B13, is equal to or not equal to 0. If it is not equal to 0, it returns a true value. And based on that value, it again creates an array of 1 by this true